get into it. Tonight we're going to talk about the TruGlo TFX PRO tritium fiber optic extreme handgun sights. This is going on a Glock 19. Now TruGlo makes several different versions. They make even different colors in the Pro. This particular set is green on either side with an orange in the center. They make a green with a white center now. They make a set that is specifically for night, not just day-night. This is a day-night set. And I also have the tools here from TruGlo. Lots of people make these different tools. I bought the front sight tool and then I bought the installation kit. What I didn't realize is that the installation kit came with the front sight tool. So I'm going to end up sending the front sight tool back or selling it to a friend or something like that. So let's get into the installation kit first and then we'll come back to the sight. Now, you can install these sights with a wooden dowel and a hammer. I've done it before. You can adjust them. It's a pain in the butt. You tend to over adjust and it takes a lot of time back and forth. I'm hoping this is going to be a lot easier. I've honestly never used a sight pusher, so we're going to find out what that's like. So let's take a look. Comes in some really nice packaging, which I guess is nice if you're going to keep it. So we've got the sight pusher itself, TruGlo brand. It's got a little indicator here to help you line it up. You turn it from this side right here. I'm going to go ahead and wind it all the way to the right because well, I guess I'm not. I'm going to start in the center actually to get undone. So let's start here in the center. Comes with a T-handle to go in here to help you. The sights can get pretty tough when you're taking them off. They can stick a little bit and they tend to sometimes kind of skip as you're pushing them out the slide. Sometimes they don't move nice and smoothly. It also has a bottom plate, so the slide is going to slide right in here on top of this plate. The particular plate that's in here now works for a 17 or a 19, a 21, anything like that, but it's got a smaller plate for the narrower slide guns like a Glock 42. We're not going to need that tonight. Got our front sight tool, and it also has a little adapter plate that goes under the smaller plates when you put them in, depending on the gun you're putting it in, or using these to adjust the sight on. This raises that the slide up a little bit so this fits better. Okay, so let's set these aside for a second and let's take a look at our sights. So the sights come with a couple of little extras. So let's open this up first. I lost one of them right there. They come with most importantly for me, they come with a sticker. I love stickers. Come with a installation instruction shortcut card. I'm going to set this stuff right up here just off the camera, right where I can see it if I need it. And it's got a special screw that's indicated that it's only needed for the Gen 4. We're going to put this on a Gen 5 tonight, so I'm really curious if it's needed for the Gen 5. It says Gen 4, so we're going to start with the screw that comes with the slide, but we've got it if we need it. It also comes with an Allen wrench that can be used to tighten up the rear slide. And then we've got our rear sight, and our front sight. So one of the things I want to do as we get a little further along, once I get the rear sight off, I actually have Glock factory night sights on the gun. Once I take those off, I'm going to pause the video, shut the lights off, and let's do a little quick comparison and see if you can tell which of the sights is the TruGlo and which of the sight is actually the Glock factory night sight. All right, I'm going to set this packaging off to the side. Now, let's move on to our gun. So I carry my gun in my pocket. I'm a huge pocket fan. I love sticky holsters. They work really nice if you carry in your pocket. Let's make sure the gun's unloaded. Always, every time, anytime you ever work on the gun, make sure it's unloaded. In this case, I've got a loaded magazine. I'm going to set it way off to the side so I don't accidentally forget and pick it up. And we're going to clear the gun. Look in there, visually check it. I'm going to go ahead and rack the slide back where I can put my finger in and just be absolutely certain the gun is empty. Go ahead and drop the slide forward, pull the trigger. As you can see, I've got mine set up for a lefty. I've shot left-handed on a pistol my entire life, but I've gotten used to shooting both left and right, so you'll see me reach for the slide with both my thumb and my finger. All right, let's go ahead and pull the trigger. We're gonna take the gun apart now. Pull down the release, take the slide off. I'm gonna set this off to the side, drop the spring, pull the barrel out, and we've got just our slide. So I think what I want to do, let's go ahead and get the front sight off, because I think that's going to be really easy. I'm not going to put the other one on until I've got both of them off, but we'll come back and add the front sight in a minute. So it should be as simple as unscrewing this little nut right here. Takes a special tool to get on it. It's pretty tight. A lot tighter than I expected, to be honest with you, but that's good. Keeps it from coming undone when you're shooting the gun. And I let it jump up a little bit, so I'm going to hold it in place with my finger here till I get the screw the rest of the way off. Nope, I thought I had it. A couple more turns. Hope I got enough light here, guys, so you can see what's going on. All right, so there's our screw that came with the factory sight. I'm going to go ahead and run it back in the factory sight just so I don't lose it. And I got a little box over here that I like to keep my parts in. I'm going to set that in my parts box. And let's go ahead now and see if we can push this sight off. So basically there's a little dovetail on the slide, and these sights just slide on. Some have a set screw in the center. The Glock factory sight does not. The TruGlo does. And right now, while I'm thinking about it, just to be absolutely certain, you don't ever want to push this in with the screw catching, and it feels like it's flush. But we're going to go ahead and just back that screw out just a half a turn or so, just to be absolutely certain that's not sticking down. We'll have to pull that screw out anyway and use a little Loctite to put it back on. So now we push up the plate on the bottom of this pusher, lift it up, and put your slide on. And you want to set it to the place that the sights are centered in the pusher arm, and then tighten the screw down. It holds the slide, and you want it nice and perpendicular so you're pushing straight across. So I'm going to line it up here as best I can. In fact, I'll just take advantage of my grid since I've got it. Looks pretty good to me. I'll tighten that down another half a notch or so. I always like to be careful. I'm a little worried that this metal pushing against my sight is going to mar my sight a little bit. I was tempted to put a piece of paper or something in there, but I'm going to try it without it. We'll see how hard we got to pull. So I'm turning counterclockwise. You can see the arm moving over. And I'm on the sight right now. Even wondered about putting the plate in. The plate, I tried it earlier. The plate fits, and it brings this down to a little lower on the sight. But let's see what happens. We put a little bit of pressure on here. Feels like it's moving ever so slightly. Huge amount of pressure on that right now. A lot of pressure. I'm pulling really hard. Really hard. I'm really worried that's going to be marking my sight, but you can see, it may be hard to tell on the video, you can see the sight has moved over in the dovetail, so it's coming on out. Much easier to turn now. I'd actually intended to put a little drop of some CLP in there before I started, but I didn't do that. So it's moving really easy right now. I can probably slide the sight out by hand. In fact, I'll probably do that here in just a second. Get a little further, it's stiffened back up a shade. Definitely should come out by hand now. Lost my T-handle there. Let's come back, loosen the slide up. Take the slide out. And we got our sight off. There we go. That easy on taking it out. You can actually see a little bit of oil down in there. I'm going to leave that. That'll help us putting the new sight back in. And it's got a set screw, so I'm not too worried about that. So now, what I'd like to do, this is where I'll pause the video and turn the lights off, and we'll see if we can tell which is brighter. This will be a little tricky for me to do, and I'll try to minimize how long the lights are out. So I'm going to pause the video, kill the lights, and we'll see if we can tell the difference between the two. All right, guys, we've got the lights off now. Here's the sights. Try to get them up here as best I can. See if you can tell which ones. I'm going to move them around a little bit up and down just to try to make sure that angle doesn't affect which one's brighter or not brighter. See if you guys can tell me which one you think belongs to the Glock factory dots and which one are the TruGlo dots. Now, there's a dead giveaway, and that's the spacing between the dots. Also, tritium, really tritium is going to be the same brightness, so in some sense they ought to be about the same brightness. One of them looks a little bigger to me than the other. Also, tritium has a half-life of about 12 years, so they should be roughly the same brightness. If one of these had a little more age than the other, after 12 years, one would be half as bright as the other, but really here in person they look, actually they look the opposite of which one's brighter than they look on the camera, so that's very interesting. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, turn the lights back on, and we'll put some sights on, so stand by. Guys, let's go ahead and try to put the rear sight in now. One of the things I found when I got my Glock initially is the sights were off a little bit, and I had to take it to the range and ended up adjusting them, have them slid over, which was a pain because I didn't have a sight pusher at the time. So I had to go to a gunsmith, get him to push the sights for me, go back and try it again. Luckily, we got it right. I was thinking that this little arrow and indicator was going to help me here. Maybe it will counting turns, but we'll see. So I'm starting the rear sight on by hand. I'm going to push it in there as far as I can get it. About as far as it wants to go right there. Let's put it back in our tool, and hopefully we're lined up enough. We are. That's good. So I'm going to center the sight again. And it's actually, the sight's a little odd shape, but I've got the heaviest part of the sight between the pusher arms. I'm going to lock it down. Let's check and make sure we're good and perpendicular again. And it looks like I'm off a little bit, so I'm actually going to ease that up and push the slide over a little bit. I don't know that that's as important as I'm making it out to be. I think you could sight it and be perfectly fine. Okay, so let's try to push the sight over. Stuck my T-handle back on when I had the video paused. All right, let's see if I want to go gently. So far it's moving. Now we did have a little bit of oil left in the track there in the dovetail. Looks like this is moving pretty nicely so far. It's getting tighter as I go, which is not too surprising. And actually, as you can see, the arrow, we're going to be lined up well before we're centered. And obviously that makes sense because different sights might be different widths. I think what I have done before to help us with the original night sights on here is I took my dial calipers and measured the gap. So what I may do is pause the video. Looks like I've got it pretty close right there. May have even gone a little too far. I think what I'm going to do is pause the video, grab a set of dial calipers, and see if we can check how much dovetail we've got on either side. It's a little tricky to do. I remember that from last time, but let's see what we can get. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Guys, so I got my calipers here. I have a nice Starrett set, but they're not digital, so I thought the digital would be easier to see on the video. So we're going to start with that. So I'm going to go ahead and release the slide here. Just looking, it looks to me like I pushed it too far. I can already tell I did. Let's see if we can get some idea of how far I did it. Now this is really difficult to do, as I mentioned before, but I like to put the calipers on against the slide and push the little arm in there. Definitely not scientific. 0.153. Let's see what we got over here on this side. Oh yeah, it's definitely further in. So we're 0.184. So I got to go back a little bit. Little tiny bit. I'm gonna guess, you know, I have no idea how much that is gonna, how many turns that's gonna be, but let's see what we can do here. So whoops, that was not good. Lesson for you guys. So I was too shy on the slide. Really don't want to mar it, so I'm being a little overly cautious. And let's make sure I'm perpendicular again, which I am. So learn off my mistakes. And get my T-handle back in here. Okay, we've got a long ways to go. I'm gonna pull that off, spin it by hand here. I'm gonna just go light here. So Can feel it moving just a little bit. Actually feels pretty good. I'm gonna back it off, get the pressure off of it, take the slide out again. Let's measure it one more time. The T-handle wants to move on me like crazy, rolling. All right, let's see what we got now. .167. So we got on this side. Sorry guys, got a little bit out of camera there. .161. So that's pretty darn close. I think I'm going to try that. Take that to the range, see what I get. If I need to adjust it, I'll come back and we'll give it a little get-go there. So I got a little, I didn't notice this, little junk here on the front of the barrel I'd like to clean off. So I got some CLP here and a cloth. Let's, I just got a little needle indicator or needle applicator. Don't really need the needle applicator for this, but since it's handy, that's what we're going to use. See if we can get that off. CLP actually says, if you've ever read the can or read on the website, they actually tell you to leave it on place for a while. And for two reasons. One, when it sits, it loosens up crud. And two, they actually tell you to leave it on there and dry. It's got Teflon in it, and it actually forms a little Teflon coating. So let's go ahead now and put our front sight on. So screw's actually in there really tight. I'm surprised. Wow, really tight. Didn't want that to come out in shipping, I guess. All right, got the screw loose, and the top of the slide and the sight is a little elongated. Kind of hard to see, so if I can get it up there where you can tell better if the camera will focus. It's not going to focus for me, is it? So anyway, that helps you get it centered, so you really don't have to worry about centering the front sight. Just got to put it on. The good news is you can't put it on backwards because it'd hang out in front of the barrel and you wouldn't see your dot anyway. So that was really more of a joke than anything. All right, let's get, this is a screw that came out of the sight. I don't know if this is magnetic or not. Some of these are magnetic. This one doesn't feel like it is. Okay, we got our screw in. The tool, got our sight on. And I lost the screw, so a magnetic one would definitely be nice. It's hard to, the screw goes a lot closer to the front of the slide than you would imagine. I need a little more light, so I'm hoping you guys are going to be able to see this. I believe I got it that time. And I'm in, it tightened up, so I think we're good with that sight screw. Now it felt a little bit to me like the sight pushed off to the side a little bit, but seems it looks pretty good to me if I just lining them up. See it right there, kind of lined up. All right, so now what I did not do and should have done, I'm going to take this back off and put a drop of blue Loctite on there. And actually, that's wiggling. That's not tight. So crank it down just a little more. That's still wiggling. So I'm going to put the shorter screw in, which is okay because I got to put the blue Loctite in anyway. And I almost forgot to put the blue Loctite on the set screw on the rear sight. And I tell you what I think I'm going to do. I'm actually going to leave the Loctite off the rear sight until I've taken it to the range and shot it. If I'm happy with where it shoots, it's pretty tight right now. If I'm happy with where it shoots, I'll put the blue Loctite on. Otherwise, that'll be a little easier to move. So, got this little tiny bag here, and the screw marked for the Gen 4. Maybe opening this up with an X-Acto knife. There, we got it. So it's really, really just short. It's a really tiny little screw there. Let's get our sight back on. Oh, about did it again, guys. Got to have the Loctite. Again, learn from my mistakes so you can do it right the first time. So I use Permatex blue. I think it really doesn't matter. You definitely want the blue. That's the important thing. and it does not take much. In fact, I would not recommend this to anybody, putting chemicals on your hand, but I just want to get it. Whoa, that's what I didn't want to do on the screw. So I got a lot of it on my hand here, but it'll let me get it on the screw exactly where I want it, which is nice. Get this cleaned up off my mat real quick. Okay. And so I've got our screw now with a little tiny drop of Loctite on it. You guys missed that whole debacle. Got enough Loctite for 30 screws. Okay. In fact, I'll clean the Loctite off my hands here really good before I put this in. So one of the things that I keep by my workbench that I absolutely love is baby wipes. They make an amazing tool for cleaning up. So there you go. I get a plug-in for Huggies baby wipes, but they are amazing. They work really, really well. Even for things like occasionally I use JB Weld. They will actually clean up wet JB Weld, so you can make really clean glue joints. Okay, so let's get this screw back in here. Got it in. The front sight does definitely wiggle a little bit, so I'm going to try to line it up by looking straight down on it. This is going to be hard to do on the video. Take a look here. Because that slight little bit of angle there, I don't guess it would matter too much. I don't know. I got to really think about that. And that's as tight as I can get it right there. All right, we've got front sight, rear sight on. I'm going to tighten the Allen screw down on the rear sight, but again, I'm not going to put the Loctite in it until I've been to the range and set it. Let's give it a good little heavy twist there. All right, let's assemble our gun back, barrel in. I love how easy it is to assemble and disassemble the Glock. Super easy. Got the barrel in, and let's get this racked on here. Looks good. Pull the trigger. Nice. So there it is, Glock Nation. We've got our Glock 19 with the TruGlo TFX PRO night sights. I'll take it to the range, let you know how it goes. See ya.